Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. And today we're covering the special mission for Phase 4 of the Geonosis Dark Side Territory Battle. So in the Phase 4 mission, this is the final mission. Remember on Hoth with the light side, this is where you fought the ATST, kind of a cool culmination of the territory battle. In the Geonosis version, you need to have Wat Tambor at 7 stars ready to go in order to use him for the mission. And the mission itself is a bit of a letdown. There's no big surprise, there's no big boss or anything like that. What I want to do in this video though is show you that you do need to have Wat at 7 stars in order to qualify for the mission. So you do have to reach that hurdle, which is a high hurdle for lower tier guilds. If you're not at the bleeding edge, if you're not in a top tier guild, you're not going to have Wat at 7 stars yet. But eventually you'll get there. And when you do, I want to let you know through this video that having a low gear Wat is not going to prevent you from getting through this battle. As you'll see in the video here, he gets off his bonus turn from his Zeta. He gets 1 additional turn on his first real turn. He gets wiped out and then he's done. He does nothing else the entire battle, and we still get through this. So he's gear 9 here, still respectable gear. He does need his Zeta because he needs to get those 2 turns. But if you have his speed high enough and the rest of your team is really high and really well geared, you do need them to carry the day here, you can get through it. So in the background here, I show you the team composition first. It's a General Grievous-led droid team. So we're going with Grievous. He's at Relic 5 for me. Modded out extremely well, as best as I can do. His health and speed are both pumped up as high as they can go. Again, Grievous's offense stacks off of his health, or his damage stacks off his health. So you want him really high health, and also you want him speedy, so he's going a lot. Then I have B2 in. B2 is at Relic level 1, so again, past year 13. I don't know if that's necessary, but you take a lot of damage here, so the more health you have, the better. B2, you want to have potency, so he can be applying the buff immunity whenever he can, and he'll gain a ton of turns. So speed's not as important because he will constantly be gaining turns from your allies being attacked by the enemy NPCs. Then we've got Droideka, and Droideka was my choice instead of Magna Guard. Typically you might think you want a tank here. Well, we're going to have one, and it's a little bit of a specialty tank that makes this mission work. So Magna Guard's out, Droideka's in. Droideka can put up damage immunity, so it can take a ton of hits if it's being targeted when it has that. It assists, it has high damage, it can stack up those charges to deliver a big hit based on health percent, which when you're fighting these really tough enemies, all makes sense here, all helps this team go. And so Droideka's a good part of the team. I only have Droideka at gear 12, maybe with 1 extra piece of gear as you'll see in the video, so no gear 13 for Droideka. Then we've got B1 Battle Droid. B1 is a key here. Grievous and B1 are the keys. B1 is Relic really high for me, Relic 5. Again, needed for the General Anakin Skywalker mission, so he carries the day, an important gear. You're not wasting gear and relics by putting it on B1. And then we've got Wat Tambor, who is gear 9. I did blitz him with speed. He's up to 282 speed, and there's a threshold you need to pass. Again, the key here is having the Zeta, so you get a bonus turn. You can put on 1 piece of the tech, and then you need Wat to outspeed the enemy team to get his first real turn that he earns with his speed to put out a 2nd piece of tech, and then he's probably not going to see another turn if you're trying to do this with low gear to hopefully skate by. So now we're going to jump into the battle, and we're going to see how this goes. And the early turns here are really important, and then after that is just kind of grinding things out. So if Wat has his Zeta, he gets a bonus turn, he gets to go first. And he's got those 3 tech pieces. And the important one is going to be getting the shield generator, the one that buffs protection and puts taunt on a tank as long as it has protection. You need to get that out. However, you're not going to be able to get it out first because the tank that we're going to use is the special B2 Rocket Droid that we're going to call in. So for me, I put the weapon mod on B1 because B1 is your healer, and the more stacks B1 has, the more resilient it is, the more it heals, the more tenacity and crit avoidance. B1 stacks are great for your team. So B1 gets the weapon mod, which gives it 15% turn meter for every enemy turn. You want B1 going as fast as possible. And then with your second turn, whoever goes first, and for me that was B1, after Wat's bonus turn, B1 is my speediest, he's relic 5. You want your high relic, your most powerful character, to call in that B2 Rocket Droid because the B2 stats boost off of the character that calls it. So for me, that's B1. B1 is super fast, relic 5, calls in the Rocket Droid, and then on Wat's next turn, 282 speed is enough. There's a little bit of wiggle room you can see there. The enemies were at, I don't know, 95%. So it could be a little under 282. But if you're too slow, if the enemy goes first, they can take you out. Then, so you call the B2 Rocket Droid, and then on Wat's next turn, you give that B2 Rocket Droid the shield tech. Now it's going to regenerate protection, and now it's going to taunt. And that thing is super, super beefy, and it's going to be regenerating protection throughout the fight. And then you're ready to go. One word of caution here. We did have 2 of the ship platoons complete in Phase 4, which does reduce the effectiveness of the big AoE that the enemy gets to use on you. I think it's the LAAT strike. So will you be able to do this if you get no platoons in ships completed? I'm not sure. Maybe that makes that strike so strong that you can't overcome it without having Wat constantly in there healing and buffing your team. But if you can get those 2 platoons filled, you can call the B2 Rocket Droid, and you've got Wat's Zeta with the rest of this team, you've got a shot. And you'll see it's not pretty. I don't know if it's RNG proof, but it gets the job done, and it was close, but I felt pretty comfortable throughout the fight, throughout the entire time. So once you get that set up, you're pretty much in good shape. You want to watch out for certain enemies. Remember, Mace Windu can put the debuff on your team that will allow him to deal super high damage, and so you want to watch out for that Shatter Point, right? If he gets Shatter Point on your tank, don't let Mace Windu take another turn. So he needs to be ability blocked, he needs to be focused down, stunned, whatever you can do. Mace is a high priority target. Also, while you're going through the battles, you want to be stacking up that the Separatist special buff that they get in Geo territory battles. If Grievous is getting kills, you get buffs, and if you get up to 10 of them, you get a super special buff that does extra regeneration for your team. So throughout the battle, again, you want Grievous to be getting kills whenever you can. And that can be a little tough if you have a strong B1 and he's assisting. B1 assists before Grievous attacks. If it's Grievous's turn, you select an attack, B1 goes first and does his damage, then Grievous applies his damage. So if you have something on super low health, an enemy that you're thinking about attacking, maybe shift your attack to a more healthy enemy and use Grievous's AoE ability. That way the B1 will attack the healthy enemy, Grievous's AoE will kill the weak enemy, and you'll get the extra stack of the buff. Think about leaving the medic alive. The medic revives guys, it gets an extra kill. All that is good. You want to get that 10 buffs as soon as possible to help out your team to make them a little bit more tanky and reliable. And then the key here is just kind of cycling through, using the units to their best of their ability. You almost always want to be healing with the B1. Again, maybe not if you've got an enemy on a sliver of health and you think you can get it with Grievous, then do a single target, preferably something with target lock. You're at least getting some health and regeneration then on your friendly team. B2 is going to be stripping buffs throughout the fight, especially getting it off of taunting tanks is going to be important, and then putting up buff immunity when you can. As the waves go on, they get higher and higher tenacity on the enemies, so you might not be able to break through near the end of the battle. Droideka, you're going to get Droideka, just get that shield, that buff immunity going as soon as possible, build up those charges, unleash big nuke strikes on really tough enemies whenever you can. High priority targets, taunting tanks, but again, try to save kills for when it's Grievous's turn. And then Grievous, dealing out the damage as often as you can, the big hits when he can, you're building his health, you're building his damage. The one downside, he does damage his own squad every time he goes, so that's why having B1 faster is better, because B1 can keep the healing and the stacks ahead of Grievous's turns. So that's pretty much it. Then you're just working your way through the fight, trying to get to the final wave. Keep health on your taunting tank whenever you can. Again, he has to have protection in order to taunt. Keeping B2 healthy is also important. You should have enough heals from B1 that you can spread around throughout the fight. get the protection up on the B2, and then you'll get some quick turns. Don't worry so much about Droideka. He'll heal himself through his abilities when he builds stacks and doesn't attack. He'll heal, so he's pretty much fine. Grievous is going to have a ton of health, so I wouldn't worry so much about buffing his protection with the heal from B1. But once in a while, give him a little bit, top him off. You don't want him getting nuked and alpha striked. If he does, your run is absolutely over. He is the damage dealer that carries the team. If you have a slightly better Wat Tambor, maybe a gear 10, an 11, maybe a 12, if you can get that second turn and get that other piece of tech out, I'd be interested to think who you guys would recommend putting that on. The kind of obvious choice is General Grievous, because he is the most important character and you want that little bit of extra health and protection regen. But I could see the argument for B2. B2 is a little bit more squishy, and getting that buff immunity and that constant turns and reducing cooldowns for himself and all that could also be important. So again, if you have Wat survive a third turn and get that third tech out, all the better for you. So here's my wave 4, and again, I haven't done this enough to know if the waves can change. I think there is some variability here, but I believe I was able to do this both last times that we had this. The one that happened just recently and the iteration before. I think I tried it as well and still got through it. So 2 for 2, and it didn't really matter what the comp was. This is the Arc-led final wave. It's got Pons and a Sergeant, and it's got Luminara and that Jedi Sentinel. That Sentinel is one to watch out for. He's a high priority target for me. Be aware he does counterattack, so you want to think about not using a weak attack on him and letting him get that extra damage out on you. But he does have a big ground pound and AoE, and he can hit your non-taunt units in the back row and do that extra damage. So the final wave here, as you're going to see, it is a grind. These guys have a ton of health. I focus on Pons first. He, again, is another really dangerous enemy. Can put out big AoE damage with, I think he has a rocket launcher that he pulls out. So one to get down as quickly as possible. And when you do, he's not going to revive. There's no rezzers in this group. So he goes down, and then it's all about just taking damage off the field while trying to keep your guys as healthy as possible. And remember, the longer you're in this wave, every turn Grievous takes, he's building up his health pool, and so he's going to get more and more damage as the fight goes on. So yeah, you're not going to be doing these big one hits where you're stripping off half their health with Grievous. It's going to be much smaller and slower than that, so you have to be a little more patient. Again, after Pons, targets that you want to get here are the AoE specialists. So the ARC Trooper is one of those, but he's got that fortification buff, so he's going to be a lot tougher to get through. So I went for Sergeant next. Sergeant can feed himself some turn meter, do some pretty high damage to the entire team. So a target, and I don't think he's got that much health. He's a little bit of a softer target, a little more squishy. So I go through him next here in this final wave. Then I go for that Guardian. And again, keeping in mind that you want to bring big hits. And one of the great things about the B2 Rocket Droid is he can call Grievous to assist, and that's going to be, again, every one of Grievous's hits here are big. And the assist call won't generate a counterattack. The initial attack will, but not the counter. So that's kind of free damage to get on that guy. Luminara is not really a threat, so I leave her here and I go for the Commander next. But you can see that ARC Trooper is dangerous. He throws out those grenades. Those are big damage grenades, and I lose both B1 and B2. And so I'm down here just to that big taunting tank along with Grievous and Droideka, and that's going to be enough. We get the Commander down, then I switch and go for Luminara. Again, she's squishier, weaker target. I feel like remove her from the board, get her heal off. If I work down that ARC Trooper all the way to 10% and then it gets healed all the way back up, I haven't really accomplished anything. So healer goes out, and now it's 3-on-1, just the ARC Trooper left, and we're going to be able to get through it. Grievous is heavy hitting. We've kind of got the damage under control. He's not going to be able to pound through the protection on our B2 Rocket Droid, and we've got it. And again, not pretty, not great, but that's a Gear 9 Wat Tambor. Does cost the Zeta investment, but you're able to get through. Toughest mission, I shouldn't say that. It's an important mission, maybe the most important mission other than the Wat Shards mission, because you get that get to reward, and this is the highest one, and you get it for your entire guild. So really important to get this mission done as soon as possible. So if you're on your way to a 7-star Wat, don't stress if he's not geared out. He does take that Kyrotech, that super exclusive roadblock of a gear. Get the rest of your Separatist droids going. They're super important for so many aspects of the game. So get them kitted out, get them reliced out. Grievous and B1, super important. Then B2 and Droideka. And if you have a low gear 9 or so Wat Tambor, put the zeta on him, and the rest of the team will be able to carry the day if you get those tech pieces out early in the right way. And then you'll be able to do it and earn some get to for your guild. It'll be invaluable as we go forward in this game. That currency is super, super important right now. So good luck out there. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.